If you're tired of micromanaging your direct reports, I'm going to show you my exact one-on-one system that I use to manage my team members and my multi-million-dollar a year company so that you could spend less time in meetings and more time creating more profit for your business. All right, so as we go ahead and dive in here, if you want to get access to this template right off of the bat, you can go to the description below and go to the free resources section, and you can download this for yourself so you could start implementing it as soon as you finish this video. But the first question is, who the heck do you use this for in your company? And so what you want to be doing is you want anybody that directly reports to you as you're managing them or leading them, they are who you're going to be doing this with. And what you also want to make sure is happening is if you're, let's say, for example, I meet with my head of operations in my one-on-ones on a weekly basis. I also want to see that my head of operations is using the same format to meet with her direct reports as well. So we can create that duplication of doing the same process, the same system within the company. So you'll be using that with everyone that reports to you. And so what's the frequency that we want to be using this document here? So what you want to do when you first hire anybody is you want to be having weekly one-on-ones with them. 100% of the time with any brand new hire, you should be meeting with them at least once a week. For most roles, you want to do that for the first 45 to 60 days of them starting. So for that first month and a half, 2 months, after you've went through that period, certain roles, what you'll find is there's not as much to cover as maybe other roles are. So the frequency or the cadence that you want to continue with most roles after you've made it through that month and a half, 2 month period is you're typically going to move them to either continue being weekly, if there's lots of things that need to be discussed on a weekly basis. But for some roles, you might move it to as infrequent as every other week. But you do not want to go any less frequent than that. You always want to be at least a weekly one-on-one cadence or an every other week so that you're having that one-on-one time with the people that are directly reporting to you on their specific functions in the business. So that's what you want to do in terms of frequency here. Now, let's go ahead and look at the document a little bit more itself. So as you'll see on here, we have the date at the top, which on the template that you can download, you could just change it to whatever the date is, time of the filming, October 9th. And one of the things that you'll notice is the original date that I had there is April 1st, is you will be using the same Google Sheet template to be doing your one-on-ones over and over again. So what it'll look like over weeks, over months, is you'll be able to click through multiple weeks of dates where you can look back at previous one-on-ones that you've had with your direct report. Let's go through the flow of what this one-on-one meeting looks like. Obviously, we talked a little bit about who you're doing it with, the cadence of how frequently you're going to be doing it with them, but let's talk about the length of time. Now, when you're first starting and doing your one-on-ones, especially when it's a newer person over those first couple months, it's going to take you a little bit to get the hang of this. So what you want to typically block out in your calendar is about 45 to 60 minutes to spend with your team member. And once you've gotten into a really good routine and rhythm with this, typically about 30 minutes, upwards of 45 minutes is sufficient to do everything that you need to in this conversation that you're having on your one-on-one. The way that you're going to go through this from a flow standpoint is when you first meet with the team member, it is their job. You need to make sure they know that this is their job. But prior to the one-on-one starting, this section on what's going well here, this is for them to be able to share, when you're going into the meeting, what's going well in their department. If it's sales, it's, hit sales target last week of 10 units sold, whatever they want to share. That's for them to put on the doc of what's been going well, and they should do that prior to the one-on-one actually starting. When you start the one-on-one with them, that's the first thing that we tackle. We have them share what's going well, because we could always, in business is messy. We can always talk about the things that are not going well. But the reason we want to start with what's going well is we want to start these conversations with a positive focus and always be looking for something positive to start with. Next thing that we're going to be going through, I actually have another YouTube video. I'll drop the link in the description on that. I'll show you actually how to help set goals with your team members at your company. And these specifically PPFs, this means your personal, your professional, your financial goals. We're not going to be covering that in this video. But essentially, the next part of your one-on-one is where you're doing a quick check-in on their goals that they have personally, professionally, financially. And you'll notice there's a drop down here where they're able to, mark what the status is. So the only one that I allow my direct team member to have on there as a skip update is personal, because sometimes their personal goals might be around, maybe they're trying to do something with their family, or they're trying to change something in their diet, and, they don't want maybe as much accountability. That's the only one that I will, allow them to skip the update if they don't want to talk about it that given one-on-one. But otherwise, they're responsible each week or every other week to put on there, okay, we're just in progress. I'm on track with my goals. Hey, I need to discuss. I want to ask, maybe for some help or support. I have a roadblock. And then we go into the professional and financial. So this is like their professional goals that they have working for your company, or working for you as, their leader, knowing what their goals are and whether they're on track, whether they need help, whether they have a roadblock for their goals, or hey, they hit their professional goals that they've been working on. And that's just, hey, we're complete. And then financial, same thing. So this is really for the direct team member to be updating on a weekly basis. And then you, as the leader, ask about those things. And so you'll see right here, you'll want to link the team member's document, which again, this will be in another video. But you want to link that team member's doc of their goals so that you can quickly just click on it and it takes you to the other tab, and you can look at those goals with them and review if and when needed. Next thing that we want to be talking about in our one-on-ones is the common mistake that most business owners and leaders make with every single person that they manage. And that is the check-in for the company goals. So setting the quarterly goals for the company and the specific person that may be accountable for certain results in that quarterly goal. We want to talk to them about this on a weekly or on a biweekly basis so that we can understand where they're at in their progress. And how do we know where they're at? Well, one, we have the goal linked here of what the goal is that they're working on. And two, they're accountable to either mark it as on track, meaning everything is on track based on what they need to have done for their goal. It's, just in progress, just working on it, but maybe it's not quite on track. Maybe they need some feedback. Maybe they need some help on that particular goal, or they're just needing some help from you as their leader. Maybe there's a roadblock. Hey, finance is currently roadblocking what I need to get done because of X, Y, and Z. Can you help support me? That's what that would be. Typically there's not going to be, a no update. It's usually going to be in one of these categories here, or once it's completed, we mark it complete. And so those are the first few things that you go through every single time when you do your one-on-ones. The next thing that you will be focusing on when you're having a one-on-one with your team member are the questions, discussion topics, items for review. And now you may say, Cody, what goes there? Well, what you want to include on this particular section is your pre-one-on-one homework. So what that means is let's say that your one-on-one is at 1 p.m. today. I expect that my team member, and I expect of myself, that we are going to prepare for the one-on-one before we show up. Failure on the one-on-one would be showing up and it looks blank like it is on here. They should be bringing things to discuss. It's, hey, we need to have a new hire for such and such department. I want to bring that up to talk about. We have a CRM area of opportunity, idea to discuss. Like, they should be bringing these things up. Or let's say new SOP created from last week's action items. Here's the link. Me as the leader, maybe they made a mistake in something that they were doing, and maybe that's something that I want to discuss with them. Maybe they messed something up in a company meeting and I need to discuss with them privately. Feedback on, finance team meeting. Another leader item is maybe I'm working with them on a specific project and maybe they haven't updated a Asana board, which is our project management tool we use. And that's just something that, hey, Susie, when I get to this point on my action item, like, hey, Susie, I really need to ask that you are keeping your Asana board up to date at all times, so I know where you're at in your project, because I don't want to be poking you or having to Slack you or, reach out to you directly and ask where the status update is. Just keep your board updated. So this is where you're having constructive feedback with your team member. This is where maybe you're coming up with new ideas together, like this new onboarding process idea to discuss. So this is everything that you want to discuss with your team member, which could be constructive feedback, which could be new ideas. Maybe it's a book that you'd want to recommend for them to read. Maybe it's something that has to do with one of their personal, professional, or financial goals as a resource you want to share. That's what you're taking the time before you get on the one-on-one and pre-filling this out, as well as the team member. And when you start to go through this on the call, you start with your team member first. Leaders go last, team member first. This is about them more than it is about you as a leader. You go through their items here, and you get clear on, are there action items that need to come out of either of these? Like maybe, for example, we talk about this new hire and we say, okay, go to HR, or if you're just a small business, go to Indeed, create a new job ad and post. That may be the action item between now and next week's one-on-one. Maybe the next one is CRM area of opportunity, meet with tech team, and work on implementing new CRM idea from this action item here. Let's say, for example, their new SOP they created, it wasn't up to what we wanted to see it. We gave them feedback, and so their action item is review and revise the SOP created and share back with leader once complete. And then maybe I have action items too. I came up with some new onboarding idea. It wasn't as refined as it needed to be. So maybe what my action item is, create clear outcome of what I want to see in the new onboarding process and share with team member. So I'm going to do all of that before we have our next one-on-one. And so as you can see, when you're doing your one-on-ones, this is going to give you a place where it's just you and your direct team member to be working on this stuff together. Within this, you're creating a space for them to share and to provide feedback. It's a place for them to be able to vent. It's a place for them to be able to ask for coaching. It's a place for them to discuss ideas and to get that face time with you that they don't get when you're doing just group company meetings. And this is how you build great culture and great relationships, is by understanding what your team members' personal, professional, financial goals are. You're supporting them on achieving their quarterly goals for their role that are associated with your company's goals. You're giving them, the opportunity to talk through the things that are on their mind. You're also going through the things on your mind as well. And then you're buttoning this all up each week or every other week, depending on the cadence, with the action items that need to be done. And then obviously they can check these off as they get completed. And when you come back around for the next week's one-on-one, you just duplicate the same sheet and you have it just go above it essentially. And so you always have the most recent date at the top here, and then you'd be able to scroll down to see previous weeks and see previous week's action items either completed or incomplete. And those are things that you would then discuss. If the action items weren't completed from the previous week, you would drop those into discussion or items to review as incomplete action items, or, hey, did you get stuck somewhere? How can I help? That in a nutshell is what the one-on-one process looks like. And when you get this done consistently, you build trust with your team, you build better, stronger relationships, which leads to team members staying with your company significantly longer. And it helps the company become more profitable because you're solving more real problems faster without having multiple meetings. I am very against having tons and tons of meetings as a company. Really, you just need your weekly, leadership meeting, and then you're having one-on-ones. And outside of that, really annual planning, quarterly planning, and there doesn't really need to be much other meetings outside of that. Just another best practice that I figured I'd share with you guys as well is when you're setting up your one-on-ones, and especially if you have multiple one-on-ones, I would batch these in your calendar during the week. And so what do I mean by that? Basically, I do all of my one-on-ones on Mondays. So I'm not having a one-on-one Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. I batch them all into one day. So I'm able to focus and just hammer out my one-on-ones so they're done for the week. And I could focus on other things the other days during the week. So I highly recommend that you as a leader batch your one-on-ones either back to back or all just within the same day as best as you can, so that it keeps you in the same conversation and same type of cadence of work that you're doing to, allow you to be as productive and as efficient as possible. And when you do all of this right, this is going to allow you to, reduce the amount of meetings that you actually need as a company. Hope all of that helps. And by the way, if you're at a point in your business where you're ready to turn your company into a high profit, self-managing company, what we do at my company, Scale with Pros, is we actually install what I call our profit powered scaling system directly into your business so that you can create that same self-managing high profit company that I've been able to create in multiple companies over the years. So with that being said, if that's of any interest to you, go ahead and click the link below and let's have a conversation and see what we can do to help you take your business to that next level. We'll see you in the next video.